show about Jewish books, music, film, and web. I'm Heidi Estrin. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. Additional support comes from the Association of Jewish Libraries. The Sophie Brody Award has been recognizing outstanding Jewish literature since 2006. I learned all about it from Emily Bergman, a member of the Sophie Brody Award Committee at the Association of Jewish Libraries Conference. Visit bookoflifepodcast.com for a link to more information about the Sophie Brody Award and its winners. I'm here with Emily Bergman, who's attending the AJL convention and is also a member of the Sophie Brody Medal Committee for the ALA, American Library Association. So welcome. Emily, tell us about the Sophie Brody Medal and what it is and what it recognizes.
So the Sophie Brody Medal, or award, is supported through the Brodart Foundation. And as many librarians may not be aware, Brodart was founded by Arthur Brody, who is Jewish, and he named it for his wife, who was a Jewish philanthropist, Sophie Brody. It is an award actually from RUSA, Reference and User Services Association, which is a division of ALA. It is an award for the best adult Jewish book for the general reader. Not aimed at a Jewish audience, and not everybody on the committee is Jewish. The author does not have to be Jewish. It has to be a Jewish topic, give a sense of the Jewish experience, and it has to be published in the United States. And that in itself is difficult because there are publishers who distribute in the United States but may not actually publish in the United States, or at least that's not the first place of publication.
So because it's American Library Association, it does need to be an American book.
It is just what Arthur Brody decided, that it had to be published in the United States.
Okay.
So if it's an Oxford University Press book and the first place of publication is New York, it fits. If the first place of publication is Oxford, England, it doesn't.
Okay.
I am the AJL representative to the committee.
Oh, so do they always require an AJL representative?
They would like one.
That's awesome. I'm so happy that they're aware of us. So is there a restriction as to fiction, nonfiction,
No,
genre?
I have read nonfiction, I've read poetry, I've read fiction, I've read novels, I've read short stories.
How do you compare these apples to oranges? How do you judge them against each other?
You know, a good book will rise to the top. So last year's winner was Sacred Trash. Who would think that the Cairo Geniza would be a page-turner? And it was. It was written by journalists, and they knew how to write. Everybody got so much out of the book, and you just wouldn't expect it. The three honor books were Meta Mouse by Art Spiegelman. I have not read Mouse, and yet I got so much out of the book. He is so extraordinarily articulate. Jerusalem by Montefiore Sebag. 500 pages about the battles that it took to keep Jerusalem alive. It was fabulous. And a very short book of short stories called Quiet Americans about the German Jewish immigrant experience. So very, very different. They were all very different.
So just to get a little picture of the structure, there's a gold medalist and then several
and three
silver.
We could give as many as 3 honor books.
Okay. So in terms of the process of selection, do you all read all of the books? Do you divvy it up? What do you do?
That's a good question. We do it by book reviews. And if it gets a good review, we suggest it. Whoever suggests it has to read it. And out of that, each member of the committee is to nominate 3 books. Then everybody reads the nominated books.
Okay, so everybody is voting on something that they've equally been exposed to.
Right.
And about how many books get considered in each year?
Well, interestingly, I was the only one last year that actually nominated all 3 books, and some people only nominated 1, and some people only nominated 2. So even though we had 6 people on the committee, only 10 books were nominated.
So there were only 10 that were actually in contention.
Right. Right. Last year, I read 40 books. I read book reviews in the AJL reviews, And a lot of those are for academic books. And I don't think anybody else on the committee reads academic books, but I do give them all a try because sometimes they really could be great. And there has to be enough Jewish content. So I read a book of poetry, actually by a librarian at the Library of Congress. And they were great, but only 2 out of the entire collection had Jewish content.
Well, that's a really interesting question because that comes up every year on the Sidney Taylor Book Award Committee is what makes a book Jewish. And, we're constantly trying to define that and redefine that. So what would be your definition?
I may actually be broader than others. So one of the books that I thought was really wonderful was a novel. It was translated about the island of Mauritius. I think that's how it's pronounced. And 140,000 Jews were brought there and, in a sense, imprisoned there during the Holocaust.
Who knew?
I had no idea. And the story is really about a little boy who lives there, and his father is a guard at the camp, and his friendship with a little boy, David, who was at the camp. And the committee, although they said it was a really wonderfully written book, wasn't Jewish enough because it was really about the little boy from Mauritius, not the little boy from the camp. Another book I nominated was written by the daughter whose parents survived the Holocaust and ended up immigrating to Denmark when the communists walked into Hungary. And they committed suicide in old age.
Oh, wow.
And what I really liked about it was hard to imagine someone of my generation born after the Holocaust, why somebody who survived it would have committed suicide. And their answer was because it was something over which we had no control, and now we have control, and we're going to decide when we die.
Right.
But they had not brought up their children Jewish, and the woman who wrote the book wasn't Jewish, and the committee felt that it wasn't broad enough. It was just too much of a memoir. But to me, one person's story is the story of all of the Jews who might have survived the Holocaust.
What does the author who wins receive other than fame?
I think
are they recognized at a ceremony at ALA?
Right. This all actually happens at the midwinter meeting,
okay,
which is usually in January. We make the decision, and the ceremony and they get a citation, and there are stickers on the books.
Good. Well, thank you very much for talking with me. I'm so happy that I ran into you, and we've been sitting here in the hospitality room, which has gotten a little noisy as people came in and out, but it's wonderful to speak to you and learn more about this very important award.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks. There are so many ways to connect with the Book of Life. Fan us at facebook.com/Book of Life Podcast. Follow us at twitter.com/Book of Life Pod. Email us at bookoflifepodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 561-206-2473. You can also listen to the latest episode by phone at 916-313-3820. And, of course, find links to everything at bookoflifepodcast.com. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida at cbiboca.org and is supported in part by the Association of Jewish Libraries at jewishlibraries.org. Our background music is provided by the Freilach Makers Klezmer String Band at freilachmakers.com. Thanks for listening, and happy reading.